Well, hello, Quest. It's good to see you. Here we are closing in on the end of summer still. I know everybody's back in school, but we traditionally look at Memorial Day as the beginning of summer and Labor Day as the end of summer. And here we are closing in on Labor Day weekend. So I just wanted to bring you up to speed on a couple of things in the seasons we have as a church. So we are finishing up this weekend our series on Sunday morning called Life in Babylon. And then after Labor Day, we'll start a series called Kingdom Warnings. So just so you know, we don't just kind of randomly select series. We try to say, God, what do you want to say to us? What from the scriptures help us understand life and how to navigate through it? And it seemed to us that as a result of all that went on during the last several years, the pandemic, the cultural upheaval that we've experienced, where things seem to have been turned kind of inside out, and upside down. And so what are you saying? And people have wondered, wow, what's happening here? And there have been two things primarily. One is, wow, how do we live in a culture that seems to have changed so radically, profoundly? How do we do that? And the other question is people have been asking, which people have asked on and off for thousands of years, is this the end time? Is this what was prophesied? And how does this connect to end times? People have been wondering that for a long time. So let me just say, this series on Life in Babylon was really trying to say, what can we learn from certain individuals who went through that time? How did they live with it? How did they handle it? You know, for example, Daniel really approached it with tremendous integrity, a godly integrity, a way he served in Babylon. Jeremiah offered us hope in trying to get through all these difficult things. Nehemiah brought wisdom to the table as he was part of the rebuilding after the exile as they went back to Jerusalem. And then we looked at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego last week and the courage that they lived with to trust God in the middle of being persecuted by the Babylonians. This week we're going to talk about Esther, in that after the exile there were many Jews who stayed in Babylon and in Persia, many who stayed, and they then had to deal with persecution there. And we'll find out how Esther had to deal with that. But I think some of these things of the way they dealt with it encourage us on how to deal with living in a culture that has abandoned a biblical worldview and adopted a materialistic worldview, a humanistic worldview. So I hope this week is helpful. Now, after Labor Day, we're going to do a series called Kingdom Warnings, because people have been asking the question, is this end times? And guess what? In the last day of Jesus' life, he knew that people were struggling. His disciples were asking, what should we look for at your next coming and at the end of history? What would it look like? And so in chapters 23, 24, and 25 of the Gospel of Matthew, we see the things that Jesus said to them. So we'll have 11 weeks here in the fall to really relate to what Jesus said about his second coming, and what we would need to see. How would we know? Because that's always been a question the church has asked. Now, is this the end times? I don't know that for sure. But there are a lot of things going on. There are things that we need to think about, be aware of, and hear from Christ about what it will look like and how we handle those particular days. So this is fun to kind of wrap up our series on Life in Babylon, start our series out of Matthew on Kingdom Warnings, and I think it'll be very, very helpful, not just to know our Bible, but to have the Bible inform our head and heart about how to live and how to live well. Okay? Now, just a little warning or a heads up. We're going to have a couple of town hall meetings as we prepare for our annual business meeting in October. We'll tell you a lot more about it as we get closer. But put some things on your calendar for late in September for the town hall meetings where we get to hear some of the more details. We get to do more interaction, asking questions. That'll be really important. And then the business meeting is designed to really celebrate what God has done and anticipating what He's going to be doing in the future in Quest and around Quest. And as we cooperate in the community with the rest of the Christians to really make an impact for Christ in our community. All right? All right. Hey, love you guys. Be well. Look forward to seeing you.